today, John and I thought we would look at the last 5 Prime Ministers, all Tory Prime Ministers since 2010, and rank them from best to worst.
Right, so let's start with Rishi, current Prime Minister. I'm going to put him as the best, assuming that's the best side. I think he's got the temperament and the character to be Prime Minister. I think he took over at a terrible time, but he has tried to take the right decisions in the national interest, only it hasn't worked out.
I think we might have to slightly change how we're describing this. I think we might have to change it to least worst. I don't necessarily disagree with you about Rishi. I think one of the things, and this is again why Keir Starmer has been so lucky in this election, but one of the things that Rishi has done is he has spent much of the last year trying to clear up some of the messes from his predecessors.
Exactly.
Especially, I would suggest, one Boris Johnson.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he lost the election pretty much as soon as he took over.
I think he lost the election. The first story about Partygate. If you look at the polls, there is a huge and significant dip whenever the public finds out about Partygate. And I think it's because Boris Johnson introduced doubt into millions of people's lives. And it's been a terrible, terrible thing. And by doubt, I mean millions of people thought that they did the right thing.
Yes.
Whenever they didn't see their wife in a care home, whenever they said goodbye to their dying mother over Zoom, whenever they didn't go to a funeral. Finding out about parties in Downing Street just makes them think maybe they didn't do the right thing. And that's a terrible thing to have to live with for the rest of your life. So I think this is the point at which Rishi Sunak lost the election, and then that cemented it.
So what, you agree that Rishi Sunak is the best?
I was going to say, I think it's a joint between him and Theresa May.
But Theresa achieved absolutely nothing. I mean, she just got completely stuck on Brexit and didn't have the imaginative capacity to get her way out of it.
Well, I'm not sure.
I mean, she had integrity and she tried very hard, but those are not good enough.
I'm not sure what you're arguing that Rishi Sunak has particularly achieved in the last 18 months.
He cancelled HS2. That was good enough for me.
I suppose he did sort out the Brexit problems between the EU over Northern Ireland. But again, this is just a self-created problem that then he's come in and solved. And it didn't even necessarily have to be solved in the first place because it shouldn't have happened in the first place. This is the problem. This is the problem with what we're talking about. It's a kind of 14 years that includes a lot of chaos. And a lot of people coming in to sort out the chaos.
Yes, but why is Theresa May so good? I mean, what did she actually achieve?
I think she steadied the ship after someone who we will get to later left, not taking resposibility for his actions.
No, that's completely wrong.
I think it's important. She had to steady the ship.
He had to go after he lost the referendum. I mean, because this idea that he sort of ran away and didn't take responsibility. If he tried to stay and implement what he so passionately did not want, people would have been up in arms. I mean, the leavers would have said...
You're just far too nice. This is part of the problem, right? Nobody's saying that he had to stay for the next 3 years and try and pretend that he hadn't done a massive mistake. What we're saying is he didn't have to leave that morning in what people have described as a bit of a fit of pique, where he just said, fine, I've caused this massive problem. I didn't want to.
No.
Now somebody else has to sort it out. And then what happened was, as you know, Brexit and the future of this country was up for grabs without the person who'd been in charge for the last 6 years. And I think that was an abrogation of responsibility.
No, it was Boris and Michael Gove who were unable to get their act together after the referendum, who allowed it all to go to pieces, and required. That's why we required Theresa to come in and sort it out.
I think the people who didn't want a hard Brexit had to stay on the pitch and fight for that.
So I think Boris is one of the worst of the 5, although I personally put Liz Truss most worst. The worst of the lot was Liz Truss.
Well, look, I think we're gonna get to this in a minute. So I think we should talk about this man, right? Who did a huge amount of damage by taking trust in politicians, which was already on the floor post-expenses, and making it worse. And I think that plus Brexit will be part of his legacy. But controversially, I think his legacy and her legacy, these are footnotes in history. These are a couple of lines. The history books, it's not that they're not going to be kind to these people, it's that they will barely mention these people. And the history books will concentrate, because of the long-term effects, on one man and one man only, and that's David Cameron. I'm sorry, I think I'm moving him because history is not...
You can't move him to worse than Liz
I am
Liz
moving
Truss.
him to worse than
Liz Truss.
History
Liz Truss
is not going to be kind
never
to
mind these
David
five.
Cameron.
Liz Truss is worse than Anthony Eden, worse than Godrich, worse than Rochester. She is the worst Prime Minister ever.
The long-term effects of his decision, which he didn't want to happen,
Of the British people's decision.
of
The
what he
decision
created,
taken by the British people.
of what he created, including abandoning the field and allowing it to be a harder Brexit than necessarily he wanted. The long-term effects for David Cameron's decisions are going to last much longer than the long-term effects of Liz Truss's decisions.
Liz Truss was Prime Minister for 7 weeks. I mean, the only good thing that Liz Truss did was to recognise that she wasn't up to the job and to quit extremely quickly, but not before huge damage was done to the Conservative Party.
Yes, I think we both agree that the good thing that she did was realise the game was up.
Right, so I think we've concluded that these two are the best, these two are the worst, although I'd put them like that, and he was useless in the middle. I think that's about it. And so if people want to know why we're heading for a Labour landslide on the 4th of July, they just have to look at these pictures.
Exhibit A.